Welcome to the Smite Pro League Summer Finals. Finch here. I'm joined by Melissa Taco Posada. Happy to have you here with me. We just saw some exciting action there on the Patch Notes show, but we got to switch gears and get ready for the best of the best here at the Summer Finals.
And that's exactly what all of these teams are trying to do today. They're trying to be as awesome as some of the skins that we actually saw on the Patch Notes show. Right. And we're going to be starting things off pretty hot with eUnited and Nocturnes. I mean, this is going to be a pretty spicy matchup, I feel.
And some of them have to switch gears, Taco, because we're down here in the lower bracket. That's where we're starting the day off as well. So this is the bracket here on the screen. You can see the journey these teams took. Nocturnes ended up getting knocked down here earlier on in the bracket by Space Station Gaming, as well as Black Dragons ended up falling as well. And now they're going to be going up against eUnited and Black Dragons go up against Space Station to try and catch back up with whoever falls from that essentially upper bracket finals that's happening right now.
And despite it being the lower bracket, you wouldn't guess it if you actually talk to the teams yourself, because these guys are all still pretty high in spirits. I think that both sides have a whole lot of confidence to offer and bring to the table, and so I don't think either is really swayed from having to face the other.
No, I think they recognize that they definitely still have a chance to still make it through. In fact, we did the interview when we were talking with Venenu, and they seemed like glad that they at least still had a chance to make it through. Not happy, obviously, they lost, but their heads are in the right place. They're not getting too down on themselves just yet. And we'll talk about this eUnited squad here first in particular. I mean, so strong right now, looking like the #1 team out of North America, the world champions. They got to regroup after that tough loss they took up against a rival and continue moving on here.
And it's never easy to take those kind of set defeats, because especially when it all comes down to the wire, you're in that final third game, and you're really hoping maybe we can ride off the momentum, because it was eUnited who strikes back in game number 2, so you might have anticipated that they would just bring that one home, but it seemed like that almost revitalized rival in a sense, and
Sure.
they came through with a vengeance in that third matchup. So here today, eUnited, the focus has just got to be on playing their own game, not getting distracted by the problems that happened yesterday.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get a quick look into the mindset here from eUnited. We had a chance to talk with them before this set and just hear their thoughts. I'm here with eUnited. We're going to talk a little bit about today. We wanted to look back towards yesterday. That much of y'all don't want to. I'll talk to y'all a little bit about this upcoming set against Nocturnes. What kind of prep have y'all done specifically for this squad? Anything in particular y'all are looking out for?
Yeah, we watched back some of their games versus SSG, and we've looked at their drafts and kind of analyzed that, and are going to use that to our advantage.
Do you guys feel like it can be a little bit awkward knowing that it's North America being in the lower bracket again here today?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like kind of sucks. Like, we know we're better than that, and like we're in the losers bracket versus them, but I mean, we'll come back anyway, so we'll be fine.
Well, it seems like everyone universally agrees, so you might not have to give away too much here, but what is it that's got these mage ADCs or even just double hunter comps looking so strong now? And is there any kind of resentment since North America really seemed to like it at Springland and now everyone's doing it here?
I think like item changes and like item balances, god balances made it a little bit better. Like, there's more like, it's about like pressure and like holding down W and like see what you can get off of it. If it fails, it fails. It's kind of like a 50-50, but I mean, hunters just do a lot of damage.
It's kind of funny that we were the ones running double hunter last land,
Right.
and then
Yeah, that's what always happens.
rival
Everyone's doing it right.
Yeah.
But hey,
Ahead of the meta. That's
When all of Europe
this is
kept
what we
saying that
bring.
it was awful, and then suddenly that's all that Europe seems to be playing, but getting
just copy NA.
just on that delay permanently, pretty
Right.
much. But it's really cool though, seeing you guys and like going from like day 1 to like here day 3 now. What's kind of like the team's thought process on like the LAN overall?
We're just trying to stay positive. Yesterday, obviously, losing sucks, but we're just trying to stay positive. We know it's double elimination. We're not down on ourselves yet, so we're just trying to stay positive. Going to win today, and look forward to tomorrow.
All right, well, good luck in this set. Again, thanks for coming in for the interview, and we'll make sure we keep checking in with y'all. Got to hear the thoughts there from Venenu, mid laner, obviously, and then Coach Cardiac as well, who came in and spoke with us. And you heard them talking maybe just a tiny bit of salt there about now that double hunter meta. They sort of were pioneering last land and didn't have as much success being popularized here now. But it sounds like to me, Taco, their heads are in the right place. They're coming in confident. They want to get this win if they can up against Nocturnes so they can focus on moving back up.
Yeah, all jokes aside, everybody tends to just have the focus on the day of. You found yourselves in the
Yes.
lower bracket. That's just the circumstances that you're currently in. And if you want to head up into the higher bracket, the only way to do that is to fight it out now here in the lower end of things, and it all starts with trying to take on Nocturnes.
And this is a tougher opponent than I think some people might be giving them credit for. I mean, they've played so well. SmiteVOD and Beltway have looked great. I've really been impressed with some of the play we've seen out of Noitulover as well. The support from had a great set last time as well, and I think that this Nocturns Gaming squad, they realize that they can make some waves here. In fact, we had a chance to sit down with them, just talk it over, and get some of their thoughts as well in their interview.
Hey everybody, we're here again with Nocturnes. We've got SmiteVOD from the jungle, and we also have Beltway, their solo laner, here one more time for the interview. How are you guys feeling today, and are you ready for your set against North America's eUnited?
Yeah, we are ready. We are prepared for this, and we're going to try our best. That's it.
Now, it seems like the North American and European teams are really fond of like the double hunter, or at least double like auto attacker, like mage ADC type strats. Is that something in particular y'all have been working on, or do you have a way to go up against that, or just gonna do your own thing?
Yeah, we have a comp that we have been practicing, and I think that it kinda work if we do the right things and we don't do mistakes.
Comparing this land to like everything that happened during the spring land, do you think that there's anything that maybe you guys weren't expecting to come up against? And if so, how have you guys been adjusting for that?
I mean, we always watch the game from the SPL, and we adapt our style to the meta, but we also try to keep our style to play, and that's it.
Now, we saw some of those, those North American European teams playing yesterday, but they didn't look maybe as clean as they always do. Was there anything that you all saw that maybe you could try and exploit? And you all are looking better now too. I mean, I feel like you'll have a real chance here.
Yeah, you know, I saw the games, and I think that they made super smart plays, and they always try to explode the mistakes from the rival. So it's gonna be a rough one.
And then as the jungler, do you feel like this is still one of those metas where you're basing things more off of your mid lane, or do you feel like you have a little bit more freedom now to kind of extend some pressure towards the outside lanes?
Yeah, it's like there is a lot of farm in the map, so at least I stay a lot in the jungle and try to be more in the timers of the jungle to steal the back camps or the mid camps. So yeah, it's very easy to maybe gank the solo lane or the duo lane, but I prefer to stay in the jungle and try to farm the best I can.
He hardly ever ganked my lane.
Needs over there in his lane a little bit more. All right, well, it's always fun watching y'all and talking to you, of course, so good luck in your set, and hopefully we'll get to keep watching you at the tournament.
Thank you.
Getting to hear there from SmiteVOD and Beltway giving them a little bit of a hard time there towards the end. But I love that we're talking to them. They still seem to be in good spirits. They recognize how tough this eUnited squad is, Taco, but they definitely still seem to think that they have a chance here, and I think they're right.
It's always in good jest with each other among teammates, and it is a clear sign, though, that their team morale is definitely still up there. So I don't think that they've really been deterred from what they saw yesterday out of the North America teams. They know that these are the teams that ended up here with them in the lower bracket, so there's no reason why Nocturnes shouldn't believe in themselves here, because anything can happen when it comes to competitive play.
And then we've seen really strong performance, I feel like, from Nocturnes here. Day one, perhaps a little bit rough for them, but definitely able to recover on day two. They've looked strong, not just in the picks and ban phase, but in game as well. I mean, Zaionsix had a great game. The dual lane in particular really impressed me. I did want to make sure that we clarified it is, of course, Nozix who's in that mid lane there for them, not having a deer here with them, I believe was not able to travel. So there is going to be a little bit focused there, perhaps. So maybe some workout for Venenu to see if maybe he can get some pressure there in that middle lane.
Well, one thing's for sure, eUnited already have their eyes set on the mid lane, specifically Nozix's, because they're taking away the Tho, they're taking away the Giannis, all this global pressure, the safe escape type gods. I think there's going to be a definite focus here from Screammmmm onto Nocturne's mid laner, because Thoth and Giannis are probably two of the more safe picks that you could opt for in that mid lane role, and now without those reliable escapes, they're going to have to depend on their own map awareness to keep them safe and sound.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if you see Screammmmm pick something with some pressure to try and maybe slow down Nozix in the mid lane and cause trouble for him. As Screammmmm has an eclectic god pool, I feel like is the way to say, right? He can kind of play just about anything at any point, so it's tough, especially not only going into a matchup where eUnited are willing to ban out some of your picks, but you're not even sure what the jungler is going to play.
Screammmmm is flexible for the unconventional also, which is what makes him such a dangerous jungler to try and go up against Mitero. I think he said it best in his own interview, in that they tend to adopt a little bit of the playstyles that they've witnessed from the North American, European, SPL online segment. So now here at the LAN, they've had a couple of days to watch and see what more reinforcements to their own strategies they need to be making, or where they could possibly shift in some changes, but it's still not easy to make those on-the-fly type of decisions.
The good news, though, to try and help with those on-the-fly decisions, that Nocturnes has played up against Space Station, even though they lost in that set. That's up against the Scrim partners of eUnited, another North American team. They at least get a window in to what it's like to play these teams, because eUnited and Space Station can kind of play similar. eUnited do it a little bit better, I think, just on average, but they play pretty similarly.
And in this second pick selection also, I think that it might even favor out Nocturnes a little bit, because they'll be able to see the 4th and 5th choices out of eUnited. The entire draft pretty much will be finalized by the time they get their last pick. So I think a little bit more flexibility could be possible here for Nocturnes within their own team composition.
Let's see where it is they want to go with that, as they banned away the Chang'e and a Hunter like that. PandaCat certainly deserves the Artemis ban. Everyone does, but especially that guy plays it so well. And then Chang'e, just a strong soul laner in her own right. But then eUnited gonna grab that Chernobog, and with what we've seen here through the tournament so far, I mean, that's not a guaranteed duo lane Chernobog.
No, thanks to Yemen, we have some mid lane possibilities going on here now in the mid lane role, and I think that could be a very interesting choice pickup. I believe that was even Yemen's one of his very first performances on the Chernobog also. So I think
maybe one or two questionable plays that ended up happening.
It happens. That's,
yeah, of course.
General gist of things. But I like what Nocturnes is doing here. They were hovering that Susano for a hot minute, maybe looking towards getting SmiteVOD a priority option, but instead it's the Athena and the Sylvanus, two pretty high priority picks in North America for the Guardian choices. And not only that, but global presence to match that of the Chernobog. Sylvanus, great lane pressure.
And you said they were hovering the Susano potentially for SmiteVOD. They might have gotten SmiteVOD's pick here anyway if they want to do the Athena jungle, something that we have seen. It could potentially be over in the solo lane as well, but this Sylvanus almost certainly going to be able to nab some early pressure for them in the duo lane. You just add those wisps on top of it. This could be a great pick if this one goes over to Noitulover and potentially Athena for SmiteVOD.
And we saw a little bit of Ratatoskr and the Awilish from Scream yesterday. Two picks that I think we haven't really seen him really lean on all that much throughout the online portion, at least of the summer split. So it would be interesting if he were to try and complement this Chernobog with a Ratatoskr yet again. I think that you would not only build on with more semi-global presence on the map, but it's just hard to handle that through the Cosmos.
It really can be difficult to try and keep up with it, and we've seen it with some really great play from it. We saw it just recently from Energy, and Adapting was playing it, and he played it very facilitating, didn't he? Just kind of setting up for the team, sometimes even dying to make sure that they won the fight afterwards, so it can be that case. But looks like eUnited, they want to go a different route, Taco. Naja and Zhong coming out. A little bit surprised he made to the 5th pick, in all honesty, but eUnited glad to have it.
And this is the deadly God choice selection also, and that was the snap-like decision Nocturnes has to go for. You kind of expect that the way that Zhong has been heavily prioritized throughout this LAN in the picks and bans initially, then you just have to expect that eUnited's going to go for him one more time. Benji had a couple of really strong Zhong performances, and then it was a little bit shaky more towards some of the team fighting aspects, but that was up against Rival. Who's to say that things won't be entirely different against Nocturnes?
Yeah, they certainly could end up being different here, and this is tough if you're Nocturnes, just with the way this first pick ban phase is gone, because eUnited got 2 top priority picks with the Chernobog, Zhong. Nocturnes ban went out with the Chang'e, but really, Athena's kind of the only big priority pick Nocturnes gets.
Not only that, but there's still so much ambiguity amongst eUnited's draft. You're not really certain if that Zhong is going to be for the mid lane or if the Chernobog is going to be for the mid lane. This could possibly be Zhong solo, and then we also see Venenu having the possibilities of playing the Zhong in the mid, so it could be really hard to determine where these picks are going on the fly, and it looks like Beltway's got a little girl back home that he's throwing some shout outs to.
All right, always love that. He knows what he's playing for here, does Beltway, so maybe give him a little bit extra motivation as he goes in, trying to look good as they choose to ban out the Ra and the Odin. Odin has been a pick that could be popular, particularly against the Sylvanus, could potentially lock him in and really punish it. Oftentimes, trying to kill the Sylvanus early is the nice strat up against him, so trying to take that off the board, maybe to try and keep Noitulover a little bit safer.
Big thing here, I'm already seeing though from eUnited's composition, is that Nija, anyone that is taken up into the air is going to be stuck there for a while, and that's going to give more than enough time for a Chernobog rotation to happen with that Living Nightmare. Also, you've got Zhong, who'll be waiting at the bottom of those deaths, trying to collapse on top of you, and I would like to see a little bit of an aggressive Guardian pick here, maybe a Kumbhakarna even, would not be opposed to seeing the Kumbhakarna. I think it's been kind of undervalued pick up until late, and right now, eUnited's composition is just so wide open because they can go for the more tankier draft, or they can go for a little bit more hyper aggro.
Well, let's see if that Chronos just an Imelito special. If eUnited want to put that Mage ADC in here as well, I'd be very curious if they want to grab it. But I like what Nocturnes have done. If the double hunter is the idea, then Medusa Soul are probably good ones to ban away, right? One of the good Mage ADCs, Medusa as well, one of those good hunters to give you some ability based as well as the auto attack that you can get from Chernobog. Plus the Raw ban, that's great follow-up off Naja when he drops down. I feel like Nocturnes have done well in the second half of the ban phase. I'm just a little bit worried about those top 3 picks from them.
Nocturnes have definitely done their homework from throughout day 1 up until now against eUnited. They have had a little bit of insight against Space Station and being able to come into this matchup there for eUnited. It's actually going to be the Hou-Yi and the Terra finalizing the dual lane, and I'm pretty confident that's going to be a Hou-Yi for PandaCat and the Chernobog for Venenu.
Yeah, I think that's very likely going to be the case here. Have that Hou-Yi go along with Terra to try and get some early pressure happening over in the dual lane. Might be difficult if it is going to be up against the Sylvana Medusa, but I trust PandaCat and PolarBearMike to get it done. But Taco, forgive me if my eyes are not drawn to this Thanatos pick for some discussion. We've seen Thanatos solo here coming out. I mean, can Nocturnes run that, or is this going to be Thanatos in the jungle?
We saw the Thanatos solo specifically when we knew that it was going to be a Zhong in the solo lane.
That's true.
It's I really would love to see Nocturnes try it out, just go for it, the whole 9 yards, bring out the Thanatos, and maybe it ends up working out as well for Beltway like we saw with Aquarius yesterday, and there's it against NRG, but that's going to be a difficult one to pull off because Benji loves to play aggressive, and even though Beltway is also pretty notorious for being an aggressive solo laner, I feel like there's a different type of variety between these two still.
Yeah, and you have to imagine that Benji is practiced going up against it with Aquarius, so can Beltway match that even? I'm sure Benji has to have some experience going up against, but Chad, I have to ask y'all a question here now. I've been asking Taco questions all day. I'll throw one to you. Who do you think is going to win this game? Go ahead and vote for us in the Mixer poll right now. That way we can get your thoughts.
And this is also just us assuming that it could possibly be the Thanatos solo. For
it's
all
not
we
guaranteed,
know,
yes.
There's still a pretty decent possibility for it to be Athena in the solo lane role, and then this Thanatos actually meant for Smitero in the jungle. I just sometimes have those little bits of hunches. I think you get them too, where you know, monkey sees as monkey does, and I think that right here, right now, this could be that off-the-wall decision that just pulls Nocturnes slightly ahead of the competition.
And remember, it's a best of 3, right? So if Nocturnes has room sort of to flex or try something, it would be in this first game. Obviously, if they drop game 1, they can't be nearly as crazy in game 2 because they're backs against the wall. They're facing tournament elimination. So this is the chance to go with that Thanatos pick here, Taco. I am excited to see it here in action. Just real quick, who do you think is going to be able to take this one?
As much as I like that Nocturnes are going for the flavor, I still would have to prefer eUnited's composition just a little bit more.
All right, sounds like we are in action here with the cast. Let's go ahead and get it back over to the casters and get this game 1 started.
Thanks a lot, Finch. Thanks a lot, Taco. Tom Battinger along here with Aggro, Ryan Bailey, on the call for you. First of all, how you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well, man. Excited to get it started here on day 3 of the summer finals, and what do you know? It is Thanatos solo for Beltway, and I like that they are paying attention to what is going on here in this summer finals, and they're understanding why this is getting counterpicked for Thanatos into Zhong. However, if you know that this has become a thing in the scrims of eUnited and Space Station, I just feel like there's no way that Beltway has nearly as much experience as Benji playing the Thanatos into the Zhong as Benji has playing against it, and he's used to playing against Aquarius as Thanatos, which is probably more practice than that of Beltway, considering his role. So I just wonder if Beltway is going to be able to have the level of execution necessary to make this pick worth it.
You know what, we'll definitely kind of see, because at the end of the day, Beltway has been playing solo for a long time. And, you know, there's a personality to the roles. There's definitely a personality to the roles, right? Solo laners like to try weird stuff a lot. Yeah, I would be very surprised if Beltway has never played this. Now, I would also be surprised if he played it more than Aquarius, but I would venture a guess, Ryan, that this isn't his first rodeo.
Probably not, and certainly, I mean, Thanatos solo was in vogue not that long ago, a couple seasons ago, near the World Championships, as Nas not allowed to come back towards mid, but the dual lane is here from Nocturns Gaming, and that's one first blood. Then gets pulled in by Noitulover. Now he might die.
SmiteVOD getting ready, gets the slow. Zaionsix with number 2. Nocturns Gaming starts this one off hot.
I love it. I love this from Nocturnes because Noitulover, his Sylvanus pulls are filthy. I mean, he shows it off right there, hits level 2, levels the pull, yanks in Venenu right away. And that is a pick that they picked very early on. They prioritize it, and now they've got a balance in their draft of, yes, we'll go with the counter pick option of the Thanatos. We'll try and adjust and pick the Soul in the mid lane that, you know, we've seen Energy and other teams have success with. We're also just going to give Noitulover his best god, and I don't really care if anyone else is playing it because he's just going to make plays with it. And it's worked so far.
And really what this draft says to me, Ryan, is that Nocturnes are a mature team. They're mature enough to go ahead and take nods from the teams that are maybe better than them, but just came earlier in the LAN, but at the same time will preserve their identity. When you're looking at these squads that you don't really get to see that often, it's kind of tough to really feel them out or whatever, but I think Nocturnes have an identity. We know what they like to do, and that's the most important part about a team in Season 5, if you ask me.
It has that flexibility to them for sure. And look, Nas has beaten PolarBearMike once before. You know, they know that they've been here. They've done that to some degree, so makes sense for them to feel semi-confident in this match, and I think they definitely should. This is a team that absolutely underperformed in their first opportunity to play against an SPL team.
Interesting. Nas has an Assassin's Blessing. It's really interesting. He's not going to get any stacks off of the waves, only off of the jungle minions. So it's going to take him a long time to stack that up, and I think that might be a big negative to a lot of people. But eventually when he does, he gets free pen.
I am almost positive that's a misclick.
Yeah.
That was a misbuy. If only because he plays mid lane. He's used to playing Mage's Blessing. He was probably looking for Hunter's Blessing, and they look semi-similar if you aren't super familiar with both.
Right there, Scream gets hit by the shield wall, goes back in, hits Zaionsix with the stun. Not going to finish it off, so by Terra, eaten up by Venenu. Nice shot there, but not close enough. eUnited on the board in minute 3.
And Nas loses his purification beads during that. And like I said, it's got to be a misbuy, because otherwise that is just horrible. It doesn't make any sense. And we just got word that it is indeed it was misbought there by Nas. And that really sucks, man, because the whole reason why you're picking Soul is because that early pressure she gets from her auto attacks early, and now he doesn't have it.
Zaionsix in some trouble here. PolarBearMike out of mana, but Venenu coming all the way from the mid lane, gets the crowd control. Big shell coming out from Noitulover. Here comes the jungle Athena. PandaCat gets one, but the return kill. Zaionsix puts Venenu in the ground. Nocturne's not done. Yank! Snatch! PandaCat able to make the run, but I'm with you. Of course he hits that.
Of course. I mean, his Sylvanus is world class. There's no doubt. Nas coming in, has that extra movement speed from his boots. Misses a Stellar Burst, does have the Supernova, and drops it right on PBM's noggin. Great rotation from Nas.
That was, I mean, I'm giving you the floor. That was just a standout rotation.
And it's because of his itemization, not the Assassin's Blessing, but because he rushes boots. Instead of going for that tiny trinket start, he started with early boots 1, and now has finished off those boots. And I wonder if it's because he knows he's up against a global rotation ultimate in the mid lane, where early rotations are going to be necessary to try and catch up. It doesn't give him his most damage at level 1, specifically with Assassin's Blessing, all the mid lane pressure you can expect from Soul, level 1, level 2. Literally out the window with the start that Nas went between the misbuy Blessing and the Boots 1 start, but it pays off for him there with that nice rotation in the duo. Gets a kill for Nocturns Gaming.
Venenu in a bad spot, but Scream can make SmiteVOD the one in a bad spot as well. SmiteVOD on the jungle Athena, and this is another different look than we're used to seeing from Nocturnes. Venenu taunted. Noitu does miss the pull because of a nice dodge from Venenu. And I'm going to go more with a juke than a miss there. But this is exciting for me watching Nocturnes because this is something they've done. We know, we haven't seen it, but to play the jungle Athena, assassin solo, hunter mid, soul basically, right? This is something that they practiced, pocket pick. I like to see these playbook plays come out from teams, especially when, you know, we don't see them that often.
You know what? I'm thinking back to when Thanatos solo was a big thing during Season 3 Worlds, and I'm pretty sure Beltway played it at Worlds, if I remember correctly. And that is a big reason why Nocturnes won that game, if I remember correctly.
I do remember that, yes.
So I just can't recall if that was Beltway on that team, though I believe it was, because he's been around for so long. So this is kind of a blast in the past, if memory serves correctly. And even though it hasn't worked out in the laning phase, you're basically looking to get early pressure, and Benji has absolute control over that lane thus far because of his Celestial Legion Helm rush. Beltway will still be able to make impact in the mid to late game team fights, and that's where Thanatos solo really needs to get pressure early on, and Beltway has failed in that regard, so he needs to make sure that he's getting those big executes in the later stages.
That's his entire job. SmiteVOD on the Athena, definitely easy to invade, and that's why he's got some help. Nas shows up, Noitulover here. Scream not seen, and the ring toss will be able to steal away the speed buff. But at what cost? Taunted into the taunt stun, but nice move away from that one. Beads used, and so Scream will avoid a lot of the nonsense that Nocturnes tried to give. Now looking to defend their blue buff, and can't even do that. Ouch.
Speed for Beads, not a bad trade for Scream. I think I would have rather seen him use his Windfire wheels just to get away, create some distance between himself and SmiteVOD, and trade ult for speed, which would have absolutely been worth it. Just that Beads is such a long cooldown that there is a lot more potential to get a punish there.
PandaCat could have missed the ricochet on SmiteVOD, who finds the back camp invade. And I like that look from SmiteVOD, even though he's playing the Athena. He knows that Beltway's going to get ulted by jungler. Benji falls down for kill number 3 from eUnited. What I was saying was that SmiteVOD knows that shield wall is going to kill the back camps. Got invaded before. Going to find a little bit of that extra experience on the enemy side of the map.
That is an easy way to get a kill there with that Windfire wheels, and that's why he doesn't use it. That's why he doesn't use the ultimate to get away when invading the speed. Trades his beads so that he still has that ultimate available and has that kill right and ready for Benji on that solo side, who is now huge, by the way. Level 10, he just backed and bought full boots and Warlocks 1 all at once. Doesn't even need to use a teleport to get back to lane at the right time. Beltway's teleport is down, so he misses a wave underneath that tower. Beltway is getting so far behind now that I don't think he has really any kill potential anymore in this lane, and it needs to be trying to rotate when possible, but because he's behind, doesn't want to rotate either.
Here comes Scream, tosses the ring bounce. Gets all 3 players as well. Right side Harpies would basically belong to him. And Beltway here, just trying to farm up. Yeah, I mean, the lane matchup for the Thanatos versus the Zhong isn't the greatest. If you don't kill Zhong before level 3 as a Thanatos, you're just not going to do it. So Beltway's job is to just farm.
Not having that Runic Shield or Chile quite yet. Speed buff respawns, and that's where Scream is sitting. No beats for him, but
nice.
Get a sash in and then get immediately punished by Nas. Not a good decision there by Scream. Didn't have ult, didn't have beads. That's just a bad sash.
And the Stone of Binding helping out SmiteVOD as well. Able to get some extra penetration for his friends. Nas shows up. Yeah, Scream just toasted there. SmiteVOD, though, gets the bite back as Venenu puts him down. Noitulover body blocked once, not twice. There's a little help, but the sprint will get him out of jail for now. Gotta watch out for PBM around the corner.
PBM doesn't have cooldowns quite yet. Speed buff did go down for eUnited. And for one jungler's bad decision, the other jungler repays in kind with a bad decision of their own. SmiteVOD definitely cannot just tank up against Venenu right now.
Well, Nas going on Venenu with the Athena ultimate. Venenu able to dodge out the damage from it, but now SmiteVOD by himself. Taunting PolarBearMike getting some poke damage out there.
It's interesting that Ven decided to go for Transcendence in this spot, because normally you're looking for Transcendence for really ability-based hunters, and I would not classify Chernobog as an ability-based hunter. His Scream, again, spending some time on his right-hand side. Well-timed on that hovering death from Beltway. But the big thing for Venenu, especially because you really only have one damaging ability in the entire kit. The 2 is classed as a basic attack. It doesn't do any additional damage. It just gives you attack speed during that time.
And it penetrates.
And it penetrates. And you're not using your dash for the damage most of the time. But if you hit your 1, is Scream going to hit the ultimate on the Noitulover, which isn't the target that I don't think he wanted, but Noitu still falling low. Good ultimate from Nas to force everyone off, but look at Benji coming around the
tower!
back.
Taunts him into the tower! Scream's dead! Wonderful play, but Benji's going to be able to pick up the support and give the mid lane a kill as well. Double kill for eUnited, the mid lane.
Man, Beltway right here just needs the scythe. Can't reach quite yet. PBM's wall was there to body block, and he takes the scythe. It saves his hunter.
Yeah, Beltway a little slow on that rotation. He's going to fall down for it as well. PandaCat dropping the suns, sunning up Beltway. And a slow rotation is actually big deal. Beltway late there means the tier 1 tower goes down, 2 of his players die, as well as a third himself. So Beltway needed to be there earlier, not at all.
Well, he could have gotten there earlier if he had his ult, but remember, Scream forced that on the right-hand side by showing up, so that pays off for eUnited. Venenu can't steal this speed buff, and he's got to use his purification beads, but he's staying strong here, trying to take the 2v1.
Meanwhile, Nas just piling damage into him. I think the decision there for Venenu was that I don't have my ult, I'm not getting out of here at all.
Well, he ulted to get there.
Right, he made the wrong choice, and he knows he's dead, so might as well dish out some damage.
Yeah, I suppose, but in that spot, then you probably don't want to use your beads. Just another sloppy decision by eUnited there. I don't think there's any other way around it. That's just a bad call to try and solo invade a speed buff as a Chernobog.
Well, so that's been eUnited's entire plan so far. Nas gonna get ulted. Down on the ground, not just enough damage yet, and the shell's good. Oh, the root's not. If Noitu hits that root, Scream dies, but PolarBearMike comes from around the back, realizes there's 4 players here, and so opts out. But eUnited has tried to punish this Athena jungle pick by just repeatedly invading in that speed buff over and over and over again.
And that's why Venenu should know that everyone from Nocturnes is going to be there to defend the speed buff, whatever it comes time. Still just didn't hold him back. Scream doesn't have enough damage to kill Zaionsix there because he's going for a very utility build, and that root from Noitulover misses because of Scream's Winged Blade proc that he got shown off there because of Zaionsix's Stellar Burst. So there's some give and take, I suppose, with that sort of build, but then it does mean that he doesn't kill Zaionsix outright. If that's Warrior Tabi into a Crusher or a Jotun's Wrath, and then, you know, tier 1 of another Mace, maybe that's enough damage, though it still would have been pretty close.
I love the speed boots on Najah. I really do. I think that you're losing a little bit of power, and honestly not that much, for a huge boost of speed. And Najah, the ability to rotate throughout the map is a big deal. 25% movement speed is gigantic, not even counting the little Pyromancer buff that you get as well.
Right.
So that's really nice. The Wingblade second item, I would like to see that be a little bit more offensive. Benji.
Wow, Benji got that with a tick of the 1. It got his exorcism got interrupted, and sometimes just isn't your day on securing speed buffs, and Nocturne's trying to make it their day on winning the game, but I don't think they're doing it via securing their own speed.
4K in the lead. The North Americans find themselves basically off a speed buff invades and the fights thereafter. PolarBearMike taunted and hit with the ultimate from Noitu, going to avoid the ultimate from the mid lane. And that's going to allow him to get on out of there. Scream finds an ultimate of his own. PandaCat dropping the Suns, dropping Nas into the ground. Benji up top by himself, but he is a level 16 solo Zhong, so I don't think anybody's going to want to tussle there. Red buff goes to eUnited.
Benji is unkillable.
Yeah.
Unkillable right now. It would take 5 members of Nocturns Gaming, and even then it would take some time because he's got an Aegis involved, and he's zoning by tier 2 as straight towards Gold Fury. eUnited uses that wall and bounce combo between PBM and PandaCat to secure the Gold Fury, plus a little crit from Scream.
How is Nocturnes down by 6,000? I mean, obviously they just lost to Gold Fury, they lost a couple of fights, but what we've seen is the speed buff invades. Nocturnes have responded in kind to that, in my opinion. They've done the right thing, tried to defend it, just hasn't gone their way. Is it eUnited just pushing the buttons better?
It's not just speed buff invades is the problem. It's that Beltway hasn't gotten the blue buff in God knows how long. He hasn't gotten an XP camp in God knows how long, and his ultimate has been forced consistently. Benji's 4 levels up right now.
Yeah. So is it the Benji show again?
It's the Benji show, and with support from eUnited, it's by design that this is happening.
Yes.
But once Benji got control of that lane, that was eUnited's bat signal, basically, to say, hey, we can just win now by playing around this right side of the map. It makes Benji unkillable. He's way too far ahead for anyone to do any damage to him at this point. He's going to do 1 million damage with a build. It's decidedly offensive. Really, the only defensive item in any stretch is Celestial Legion Helm, and even that has some power on it.
There's health on the gem.
Sure, but it's there to slow you down and make sure that he's getting as many spear ticks as possible. This Zhong, eUnited can just become the death ball right now, and I don't think there's anything Nocturnes can do to stop it.
Well, I mean, Zhong solo, yeah, right now, yeah, he's building probably more offensive because he's just ahead and eating everybody, but Zhong can afford to be a little bit more offensive because of his passive. Beltway falling down again, 0-3 and 3, 0-3 and 0, excuse me, for the solo Thanatos, and I think this is less, the conversation we had earlier, Ryan, I think this is less about Beltway's lack of experience on the Thanatos and more about Benji has played Space Station Gaming so many times. He's seen the Thanatos before. I think it's just more experience on the side of Benji with the matchup than lack of experience on Beltway.
Beltway is the college freshman who's coming home to Thanksgiving dinner after their first semester and trying to lecture the entire family on the various subjects that they've learned. But they're all experts in their fields, and they like, yeah,
101.
I get it, exactly. I am the psychiatrist now after Psych 101, and Benji's like, okay, let me show you what you have yet to learn.
Freud was a hack. Like just yelling at
exactly.
PandaCat on the left side, gonna get 2v1. Scratch that. 2v2. Venenu puts my Terra with the ground. Venenu might pay for it. Aegis, not quite. Double kill for Venenu, 6-3 and 4 for the mid lane. Hunter.
Now that's going back to a conversation from a while ago. Transcendence looks weird on Chernobog, and I do think it is a little bit weird still, but it's the fact that his 1 has 80% scaling when it hits and when it detonates. So whenever you hit someone with the 1-2 combo, that's 160% scaling right away. That's a lot.
Yeah,
so,
I'll take that.
So Transcendence power, even though it only works with Crystallized Curses and with the 3 into Darkness, it's enough of a benefit that it's worth buying.
eUnited are doing whatever they want here. 11,000 gold in the lead in about 18 minutes, just shy of it. They've got a Fire Giant, they've got 11 kills, and they're just going to walk up the right side. Zhong is in the mid lane because if I say eUnited doing whatever they want, Benji specifically is doing whatever he wants, independent of anybody on the map. There's essentially Nocturnes, the 4 players on eUnited, and Benji. These are the 3 power pieces on this map right now. I think Benji could probably 1v3 at this point.
Oh, easily.
If not 1v4.
He's level 20. I mean, Zaionsix is the only one even close, and he's level 17, and his entire pen is an Ichabod and an Executioner. It'll take forever to kill Benji at this point once he doubles his protections when he uses that ultimate. Good luck. Kill it. Benji is the definition of a raid boss right now.
Yeah, Fire Giant around his waist. He's able to take care of the towers easily. The double basics as well. One of my favorite parts of Zhong. I love it.
So, one of my old teammates, Uzi, used to tell me that Zhong was OP in solo because you could kill the tower so fast with the double basics.
Makes sense.
He was just a little bit ahead of his time, I think.
Left side Phoenix is the push for eUnited. Nice stun on the Beltway to keep him out of there. Noitulover, though, gets a good ultimate. Benji surging forward because he just doesn't care. So my Terra falls down to PolarBearMike.
Look at that.
Scream gonna miss the ultimate, but he just doesn't care. PandaCat gonna pick up Nas. This could be it. Double kill for PandaCat. The sun's gonna come down in a very bad spot. Come on, Panda. Titan under attack. Noitulover, the only one to play defense.
How often do you see one team get a 5-man taunt and insta-lose? It literally never. That's exactly what happened to Nocturnes right there. SmiteVOD gets a 5-man taunt. 5.
Yeah.
Got a ton of beads, a ton of damage out of them, and instantly Nocturnes lose the game. And I think that is the perfect way to tell you just how far behind Nocturns Gaming was. Did you just notice that Scream's wearing the green undershirt?
Yeah, I did notice. Taking a page out of Rival.
He stole that from Rival, like straight up.
I will say that the idea behind what Nocturnes wanted to do was actually A+, but eUnited one step ahead, punishing the jungle Athena.
It was punishing the jungle Athena. It's that Nas, unfortunately, buys the wrong blessing and loses a lot of what that soul pick is meant to do in that mid lane. But really, I think even if Nas is there getting a Hunter's Blessing and pushing the mid waves in and all that kind of stuff, no way the Beltway is able to hold on in that game. I mean, that was really the end-all be-all. It basically started with Benji completely dominating the entire right side jungle with help from eUnited, and then riding him to victory. There was really no comeback attempt for Nocturnes.
Once again, the Benji show live here from Skillshot Studios. Not the first time we've seen it, and I'm sure won't be the last. Benji has been one of the most powerful players around. Coincidentally, I'm going to ask you who the MVP is, and I wonder who that one will be.
Venenu did have a really good game as well.
Venenu was a big part of
Had a little bit too much fun, but the global ultimate from the Chernobog, he did a ton of damage, was most of the time in the right spots. So I think that there should be some votes for Venenu, but Benji should probably win that one.
Yeah, I mean, he was level 20 when everybody else, since the Hunter was about 14.
Yeah, it was a lot of farm. Yes.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Game one of the books. Let's talk to the desk.
A nice breakout game there from eUnited, or at least a opening game to the day as they come out looking very strong. And it's tough, Taco, when you get a nice, 4 or 5 man taunt there from SmiteVOD in the end. Nozik is right there with the follow-up, but they were just too far behind by that point in the game.
eUnited's team fighting capabilities with this composition were just so extremely unavoidable. You had PolarBearMike with that Earth and Fury that's also amplifying all of the damage, just in case, a Ho Yi, Chernobog, Ninja, and Zhong were struggling with the damage aspect. You just Earth and Fury right away, no problem whatsoever. And so for Nocturnes, I think that just overwhelmed them a little bit too often in some of those later team fight engagements, because the early actually started off really well for Nocturnes.
It did in the kill department, yes. I'm right there with you. They were definitely getting some frags, but eUnited just always out in front of them farm-wise, unfortunately. So I think that Nocturnes is showing us that they have the mechanical ability. And there's a couple of mistakes in there, right? Like the Assassin's Blessing was not that's not what they wanted, and Beltway falls behind early, but clearly the mechanical skill is there.
It definitely seems as though they are certainly doing their best to adjust as necessary, and it can be very difficult, especially up against the likes of eUnited. I mean, this is a very formidable opponent to try and deal with, and Beltway, I like the Thanatos solo mentality here. I like that Nocturnes were trying to play around the mid lane pretty early on also. It just didn't manage to keep up with that momentum because, like you already mentioned, it was mostly an issue when it came to the farming tier, because a lot of these international teams, that's kind of the same problem that they always seem to encounter here during the LAN environments, is that they will find the kills, they just don't find any of the farm that they need.
Yeah, they end up letting your opponents just get a little bit too far away from them, and this time the one that got too far away, it was Benji, and he got away by a pretty big margin early on. He's your MVP, selected off this Zhong performance, and this really kind of was that catalyst, a great rotation over from Screammmmm, and Beltway never really had any kind of chance for a rotation over to help out afterwards. So that was, I feel like, was really what got the ball rolling.
It's hard when you have this level 20 Zhong so early on, and even before that, Benji was always trailblazing at the experience department. Even his team was having difficulties keeping up with them, and they were the ones who were winning.
Yes, he was just that far ahead, and when Benji could rotate over, things would eventually end up getting in their control. But as you heard Ryan talk about a little bit towards the end, Venenu was a big part of what was working well for them too. Maybe there was once or twice where my man got a little bit ahead of himself on the Chernobog pick, but he definitely looks comfortable on this Hunter, and that was with Nocturne sort of realizing, right, they picked the Medusa for themselves as well as they picked the Soul. They tried to limit these options, but when Chernobog comes through first, it's tough.
I don't have any issues with Nocturne's decision-making for their initial bans. Artemis and Chang'e are 2 priority picks that I think you don't want falling into the hands of eUnited by any means. I do ever have some concerns over their first 2 drafts because they see the Chernobog locked in, and sure, that's just part of the sacrifice that you have to make, but there were a lot of top pick options still open for the taking, and they went for the Athena and the Sylvanus. Sylvanus, who really has not had much of a presence this LAN, unlike what we saw in the spring time one, and I think that it was just a little bit too much emphasis placed onto the Sylvanus for Noito as opposed to focusing maybe taking the Zhong for Beltway, or possibly even picking up another pick that they might have expected to be for PandaCat, such as the Ho Yi, because he did play a lot of Ho Yi yesterday.
No, I'm right.